Hi.
Hello.
Hey, this is Sandra. Hang
Nice
on.
to meet you.
Yeah, I can't remember which way to show in this video. So this is Sandra. And I'm today, or we are today, we're here to talk a little bit about motivation and inspiration and how to get to the finish line, in a sense. And I'm really excited because Sandra is here today with me, and Sandra is the founder and the COO of FundU, crowdfunding and fundraising platform, right? Did I get that right, Sandra?
Correct, you got that right.
And she is fun and fearless as a person and always has something good cooking, right?
Well, thank you. Thank you for this great introduction.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about motivation. And, you know, as Sandra, you're an entrepreneur.
Correct.
Yes. And you also meet a lot of people through your company who have a certain type of project in their mind and they want to get it to the finish line. So you see a lot of people doing this, and probably some of them are struggling with the motivational facts. So I think it's really exciting to hear your views on this matter. But first of all, I want to ask you, what is your big why? Why do you do what you do, and what drove you here?
All right. So, well, I've always worked with creatives for the past 15 years, and I've met a lot of great people that are really motivated, and who are really inspiring, who have good projects or have just started a company, and they are sometimes lost as to how to finance a given project. And it's a common problem for people who are starting a company to actually get funding the traditional way. So it used to be so that you could go to a bank or a financial institution to ask for money, and if you had good connections or if you really had a disruptive idea for a project or for a company, you could get money, but it's still very hard for a young business or entrepreneur to get money the traditional way. And in the past, let's say 150 years ago, 100 years ago, or if we even go like 50 years ago, all the money businesses, whether it's banks, angels, or whatever, used to be very centralized.
Okay.
And as you know, the way we do business nowadays has changed. I mean, the internet, the way we communicate has changed a lot. So the model has changed from being centralized and old school with banks to a model in which everything is decentralized, and you have a lot of possibilities to just, have an economy and a model in which people can go to other people and ask for money.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting in crowdfunding, that it's normal people that can be funding your project if they're interested in it.
Exactly, and that's why me and Anders, our CEO, started this business together. He's an old school investment banker. He's done that thing for 20 years, and he's helped companies in development and young entrepreneurs. And he realized that, okay, crowdfunding is the next big thing in the financial markets. And this is why we've gone into it, because there's so many great people out there with great ideas that are just being stopped by asking money the traditional way, and it doesn't always work out, and then they miss out on a chance of bringing something great for our future out there. And this is why I do this, because there's a lot of good people out there, a lot of great ideas, and they need support. And now you can support each other. We can support each other. You don't need to go to the biggest financial organization to get your cash. You can actually ask people who want to be part of your project and believe in you. Yeah. So that's the why.
That's a good why. So how does that, helping entrepreneurs, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's very exciting because it makes me feel like I'm helping someone. I'm not making maybe the biggest difference on a like worldwide scale, but I'm helping somebody achieve their dream. And it's great to meet all these inspiring people and to be able to help them. So, I feel like super excited when somebody comes up to me and he's like, okay, we need help. We need, some money, and what's your feedback? And if we can make things happen, it's a really, really great feeling. It's super exciting. And I love helping other people, and I love people in general. So, for me, it's like, it's the best thing ever when I wake up in the morning and I know, I'm meeting all this like inspiring people.
Yeah. What I hear you say is that you're giving all the time. So that's what inspires you to do.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And, I'm a people person. I really love people. I love, on a personal level, I love traveling. So because, you learn so much from other people's perspective, from, just, seeing around, because we're all different. So in that sense, it's great that I meet all these people with great ideas, because, it teaches me stuff. I learn personally as well, because, we all have a different perspective. So yeah, that's one of the, major factors in getting me excited and getting me inspired at work. And this is also why I do this.
Yeah. Beautiful to hear that. Okay, but then how do you separate the good ideas from the bad for yourself or for your business? How do you choose? Do you have a criteria or? Yeah.
Well, there's several things. So throughout our experience, and especially through Andres's experience, I think I've been doing that for a lot less time than he has. I've been doing this for only 2 years. But when somebody pitches you a project, or you receive something like a business plan, you actually check if the story is coherent. So even though, you would be totally new in the field, when something is missing in a pitch or a story, you're like, oh, hold on, that doesn't make sense. Or hold on, is that really your affirmation? So there's that gut feeling in which you're like, okay, just this whole project doesn't make sense. So there's that aspect. You see when something really works or when something is a bit shaky. So that's one thing. But also I believe that just having a great pitch, or having a great idea, a disruptive concept, or also, for instance, one of the major factors, or the major factor, is who are the people behind the project? Who are these people who have had the idea? Because if they're not inspiring to you, and if they're not convinced about themselves, it doesn't really matter how great their idea is, because you're not going to believe in it. So I think the people, the pitch, whether the idea is disruptive, whether it has room for growth. And then in some cases, I meet people who already have traction. There's already social proof, they have like, I don't know how many likes on Facebook or such. So there's also social proof. So I guess, a mix of that.
Yeah. So, according to your answer, what I like the most, or what I concentrated the most, is when you talked about the people and how inspired they are about their own work and own idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I meet some leaders who are great speakers, who are great at, presenting and convincing you, but they might show up with a business plan that is just like a piece of paper. So, if you get that piece of paper, you'd be like, okay, is that all you have? But in real life, when you meet those people, they have it figured out. So, that's one thing. You might be totally convinced by a person, and then, all the technical stuff like a business plan can be done by someone else.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. It's definitely the person behind the idea. And because, if somebody is trying to raise money for their company, Of course, the idea and what your profit and loss statement is going to look like makes a difference. But it's also the credibility of the people, because you're going to have to believe in those people for the next, say, 5 years if you put money into their company. So credibility also is one thing.
Yeah. How about, I want to dig a little bit into your personal life. How about your own ideas? How about you deciding to do, maybe it's, to start this business, or maybe it's some kind of personal project that you've been working on. How do you decide when to take action on an idea or when to dump it?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm not afraid to try something new. I always think that, the more you try, although you may fear, putting yourself out there, the more you learn. Because if you're just comfortable in a situation, probably your room for personal growth is, rather limited. And of course, if you try new stuff and you're actually freaking out, because of course it's scary, you have to learn, you will grow. You have to put yourself out of your comfort zone. So when I get an idea, and when we had the idea for the company, I was just like, I'm a doer. I was like, oh, let's do it. I had, not much of a clue of what we were getting into. But I was like, hey, I can try. And, if I fail, I fail. You learn something. You learn like, oh, that was a terrible idea. I'm never going to do this again. Or, you probably have a lot of other learnings that come across the road. So I think if you have an idea and you have a gut feeling about it, you should go about it. And that's what I do. And if it's terrible, well, then I've lost, my time, my employees' time, or, whatever it is. But at least you've tried, and you know that, okay, that's not going to work out. And you've learned that much.
Yeah. So to kind of like take it as a learning experience.
Definitely.
At least, if nothing else. But then you can be a huge success too.
Exactly. And, I think the more things you try, the more things what you're comfortable with as a person. And the more you learn, it's like, as an example, if you don't know what you want to do in your life professionally, if you're stuck of where to go, then you can always try a certain job, see if it's your thing. And if it's not, then you move on, you try the next thing until you find, what really makes you tick. So I think
that's so refreshing to hear, because I think that most of the times the Finnish attitude is like you pick your job and then you stay at it and you just do it, keep on doing it until you retire.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing to hear that. Why not, open yourself up a little bit and...
Exactly. And I think, nowadays, for us and future generations, it's not realistic to think you're going to do one job for the rest of your life, because, technology evolves so fast. Industries are changing rapidly. And, from here into 35 years from now, a lot of jobs that we know nowadays aren't going to exist anymore. I mean, a lot of things are changing. So I think that, thinking that you can stick to one thing the rest of your life, fine. I mean, if you're saying an artist and you're comfortable, you're writing songs and you're doing your thing and you have a passion, sure, go for it. But I think if you have any uncertainty, things will change. And it's nice to know that, we change and we evolve, because, you grow as a person, you learn a lot of things. And I think that's like valuable in life. I mean, that's one of the most valuable things, right? To, progress and learn and see that in the past 10 years, you've made lots of progress and lots of great things have happened around you.
Yeah, I think we kind of came to the topic of personal success. And because I think one of the hardest questions for anyone, especially people who want to achieve a lot or are doers and smart people who engage, they have a problem of defining when they're successful. So
it's never enough.
That's the thing. So what could be the medicine for that? Because, when you've done good work, when you've done progress, when you look back like 10 years, okay, you can see the points there, but you haven't rewarded yourself probably. You have just, said, okay, I need this more and this more. Nah. So what could be the key to that?
Oh, that's a really hard question for me, especially to answer, because, I remember an old conversation you and I had about how do you reward yourself and such. And I told you, I don't really reward myself much. I, praise the people around me. I give them positive feedback and, I give my employees constructive criticism if needed, but I always say thank you and great job, and this thing you've done is so great, and it's beyond what I even expected, and be proud of yourself. But I have a personal problem doing it with myself. I don't reward myself. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good, now that's done, what's the next big thing? So I actually don't really know what to tell you. I mean, if I would maybe say what I would say to my friends, it'd be easier to judge, but it's really hard to do it for myself. So what I would say people around me is like, do you realize, what a great thing you've achieved? You really should, take it in and acknowledge how big achievement you've done. But, for myself, and when is it enough? I really don't know.
Yeah, I get this a lot with my clients. They just don't know how to stop and take the moment and think it through. And my advice to that is always to pre-plan, to kind of like pre-plan, set your measurement of success when you start the project, or, like points of success where you get the reward depending or not depending on how you feel. You just want to do more and do more, but you need to stop there and acknowledge yourself. Because that's what you do with other people, as you were saying. That's what you do with your coworkers, the companies you're helping out, and everybody. And why not do that with yourself as well?
Exactly. And I think one thing that you mentioned before, we are in Finnish society. So as you know here, one of the main values is to be very humble. So I think what I see around me a lot is that, Finns don't really, tap each other on the back so much, or people who actually achieve amazing things are just, taught from a very young age to be humble with everything. So I think that might be also a problem that we have in the society we live in, you and I.
Yeah, that's true as well.
It's not part of
small baby steps. Baby steps towards. Thank you, Sandra. I think it's been really interesting to have this discussion, this interview with you.
Thank you. It's been exciting because, I'm like, we're talking about possibilities and
and I want to continue this conversation, but we're going to end here. Maybe we'll do another interview at some point to all our beautiful viewers. But this is it for now. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you so much. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.